Meine Damen und Herren, herzlich willkommen. Nach diesem Interview in voller Fahrt mit Nico Rosberg darf ich jetzt zwei Green Tech Innovatoren begrüßen. Und dieses Panel, das führen wir in Englisch, weil wir einen schwedischen Gast dabei haben. So let me introduce the both of you. There's on one hand Inès Adler, a German entrepreneur and former Daimler employee who developed engines for Daimler, has lots of patents on her belt, so to speak. And she now is with Me Energy, a company in Brandenburg, the German state of Brandenburg. And she develops an alternative mobile type of charging station for e-mobility. Very exciting as what Per Tunell does, the CEO of Wallenius Marine, a sustainable shipping company in Stockholm. And they're developing Oceanbird, which you can actually see right behind him as a picture. It's a cargo vessel that sails, a modern type of sailing ship that supposedly sails cars and other cargo containers around the world. So welcome to the both of you.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Right. So I suggest that first of all, we talk a little bit about both of your inventions and then try to put them together and talk about the general green tech market a little bit more. Inès, if I may, I'm going to start with you and ask you what exactly it is that you and your people have developed there.
Alex and me, we are the founders of Me Energy. We had the idea to disconnect a fast charging column from the grid, because normal cars must go to the grid, but the grid sometimes is not there where the cars are. Our idea was to make it completely independent. That means we have a fast charging column, 100 kilowatts of charging power, and it produces its own energy. So it solves two problems in one. That means we can bring the electrical energy to the place where the cars are, and we produce the energy as an add-on. And so there is no more problem with electric mobility, because normally if you charge with 150 kilowatts, you need as much energy as 50 households, but you need it on top. And after this is the point, if you have 20 million of electric cars, you don't have the energy at the moment. So what we do is we add the energy and we have it in every place where we want to have it. So this is mainly the idea. The production of energy inside our charging column is completely carbon neutral. That means we only combust biological fuel, ethanol in the moment, next year methanol, and these are all biological fuels. You can do methanol also from natural gas, but this is not what we want to combust in our system. So we have a 100% cycle for electric charging, and we can do it where we want it. So no connection to the grid, and this is one of the main points.
So basically, whenever a local community decides we need a charging station here or there, regardless of infrastructure, that they can just put it there.
Yes.
All right.
And the point is the price of putting a big cable in the ground, what you need for a fast charging column, is as high as our complete system. In Germany, if you bury down maybe 1 kilometer of 10,000 volt cable, it costs you the same price as our complete charging column. Mm-hmm. And the point is, when you put a fast charger there and nobody uses it, you have a problem because the cable is still in the earth. Our system, you put on a lorry and put it away to a place where maybe more people charge. So that is the advantage.
Since, as we've already said, you're coming out of engine development, of car engine development. From what I understand, this also came out of a sustainable idea of car engines, correct?
Yes, because I was making diesel engines for 15 years for Mercedes-Benz, and I have about 15 patents on combustion and injection systems. And when my friend Alex came over with the idea to make this system, I directly had the idea how we can bring this to reality. And I have created a special combustion for the engines we use that work fine without exhaust emissions that are too high and everything. Finally, the emission is so low that you can breathe what is coming out of the system.
So by any chance, has Nico Rosberg invested in your company?
Not yet.
All right.
Actually, our big investors are the country Brandenburg, for example. They believed in us, and when we were there 2 years ago, they were extremely helpful. And they also are partner of Me Energy in the moment, and also the Safe Driver Group, who have the business of Uber in Germany, is a partner. Our Series A investment round has actually been finished, and we are well equipped in the moment. But as an ambassador, Nico Rosberg would be extremely helpful, of course. So if there is a chance to have him in any way, we would love to do that.
So Nico, we hope you're still watching. And Per, is he invested in your company?
No, not yet. He hasn't. We haven't been open enough for investments yet. So
good. Well, but maybe he can allot some of his considerable prize money from the Formula One days and salary to strategies and technologies like yours. Per, as is seen behind you, this is what you're developing. You're calling it Ocean Bird. And it's an idea of almost, I have to say, carbon-free transport. You're reducing it by 90%. Tell us a little bit more about what was the origin of this idea and also how far you are in developing it.
The origin comes really from understanding the challenge shipping has, and shipping is a large, even though it's a fundamental for the globalization and the development in the world, shipping, but it's also a large contributor to harmful emissions, and shipping alone stands for about 2 to 3% of world's carbon dioxide emissions. So similar to entire Germany, actually. Comes from the shipping industry. So we realized we need to do something about it. We set up a target like 20 years ago to develop emission-free shipping. And that's kind of in our DNA, in our vision, in our company, to lead the way towards truly sustainable shipping. We looked at a lot of different types of solutions, and we came to the conclusions that we need to harvest the energy that is around the vessels when they operate on the ocean. So we looked at solar panels, we looked at waves, because there's a lot of energy in the waves, but we came to the conclusion that the wind is the most interesting option for us to power the vessels. So we started looking at different solutions, and we started developing these solutions. And we started up a project where we kind of defined that we should be 90% less emissions than the best vessels of today. We defined that it should be commercially feasible, because unless it's commercially feasible, it will never happen. And we want this to happen. And we also put a little time pressure on ourselves and said this should be ready for order by the end of 2021. This was kind of a target we set up in 2018. We got some governmental funding for a research and development project, and we started off that research project. And in parallel, we have also been running a kind of a realization project, a commercialization project, where we are then looking into how would it fit into the different ecosystems of shipping. So the first iteration was kind of done in 2017, and we have then passed the second, and what you can see behind me is the third iteration of this design. Our ambition is to, and we also have now a contract with a ship owner who are also buying into the project and want to make this a reality. So together we are aiming at having this in the water and sailing by 2025. So it's not that far away, actually. And considering that the yard process is maybe 1.5 to 2 years, we need to be ready quite soon. And we are very far ahead in development. Of course, the most challenging part here is the wings. They are considerably sized wings. These are what you see now, and what's in the current design is 80-meter tall wings on top of the vessel. So maybe around 7,500 square meters of wing sails. So that's kind of where we are in the process right now.
All right. And I think you reckon that you can transport, for example, 7,000 cars in such a vessel, correct?
That is correct. And we come from the car carrying industry. That's where we have our roots, so to say. That's where we start with a car carrier. This is a car carrier. And of course, it can carry other things as well, such as high and heavy rolling cargo. But so that's where we start. But of course, to make a larger impact in the shipping segment, we need to look into different segments as well, like bulk carriers and cruise ships, et cetera, et cetera. So that's also under development. But this is where we start.
There have been other projects promising sailing cargo vessels. What makes yours special? What makes yours superior to what has been there before?
And there are a lot of super interesting projects. Most of them are focusing on wind assistance. So there are some sails or some technology that will reduce your energy consumption. We are here aiming at wind propulsion. So we are going much longer and taking this to a larger extent to really cut the emissions. And as I mentioned, the ambition is to cut emissions by 90%. So that's probably the main differentiator from many of the other interesting projects. There are some other sailing projects as well. But I think it's a good wave. It's a good power now in the shipping industry, and there are a lot of companies looking at these kind of sustainable solutions, and I think that is super important for the understanding of the society that these kind of solutions are available. They're going to be available in a very near future.
Inès, does this project make sense to you, or would you rather build a carbon-free engine for boats like this?
No, I'm really in love with this design, because what I mostly love is this telescopic lift and regulation of the wind power to the vessel. And after I had the delight to discuss a little bit with Per in the forefield, I saw that he also uses an electrical engine for the entrance in the harbor and everything. So I'm really in love with this, and I believe that it will come to a great success.
Yeah, we will need the development of emission-free engines as well, because we will not be able to reduce all the energy that we need by the sails. We will need an engine to keep schedule and so on, and also operate in and out of port. So the remaining 10% that we've been talking about, we need to find a good solution for that as well. But up until now, we have been focusing on getting the wind solution as efficient and robust and safe as possible. And then we will, of course, look at how can we deal with the remaining 10% of the emissions in a sustainable way. So this is almost sustainable. It's not all the way, but it's almost there.
Yeah, will there still be any humans on a ship like this crossing the world's oceans?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are looking at the same amount of crew as we have today, approximately. This is not going to be unmanned in any way. We need the people, skilled people on board to maneuver this vessel and take it safely over the oceans.
Inès, you mentioned earlier the state of Brandenburg supporting you, or investing rather, in Me Energy. The state of Brandenburg is also where Tesla is building its German factory. Are they doing something right?
We are kind of neighbors. because Grünheide is only 15 kilometers from here. And we actually drive a Tesla. So we are fans of this gigafactory, and we're fans of Elon Musk because we think that his way of giving freedom to the electrical cars and make it really a sports car, make it a car that is fun driving, that was really a good work that he did. And when you take a closer look to all the electrical cars in the past, they were also so very German. They were so, I don't know all the words for this, but they were extremely German, and they all had this, you must come down, you must reduce your wishes, you must reduce your comfort. And the Tesla is exactly the opposite. He reduces nothing. The delight of driving is wonderful. I'm sounding a little bit like a Tesla car salesperson. I'm not, but I like the idea of electric driving, and I'm happy that the German car industry has woken up a little bit in the last months. We saw a lot of things.
Yet, if Elon Musk hasn't paid you yet, he should now. But when I refer to the state of Brandenburg, I also meant sort of how much the state has your back. How much does the Swedish state have your back? Are you happy with the environment in which you're operating?
We are happy, absolutely, and they are supporting us in this research and development project. And we got a lot of support from the state as well with promoting the project. They are very fond of the project. But of course, when it comes to research and development, there is always a need of more investments. And of course, the government could do more there, absolutely. And shipping is at least in Sweden, shipping is a quite small part of the industry. Thereby, we may not get as much support as other types of industries in Sweden. So it could be a little more.
Well, you both are, in a way, startup entrepreneurs of a different breed, since you're making things. You're not just writing software, but you're making things, big things, or in the case of Per, very big things. Yeah. What's different about your type of startup, and what do you guys need? What do you think is needed for there to be more such companies?
The point is, Me Energy is a little bit closer to the target, because we have already 2 systems on the street running, and they have proven that they work. We are actually in production of the first batch of 25 that we will produce this year. That is the start of our serial production, and we are very happy. What we need is a little bit political support for what we are doing, because we are completely grid independent. And of course, we want to stay free from all this money that you need for grid using and everything. And I'm not sure if this really works. Also, the subsidies that are given for fast chargers are only partly given to the system of Me Energy. And if politicians would take a little bit a closer look to what we do, hopefully they could give us the same, put us in the same level as a normal electrical fast charger. That would be very helpful.
And Per, I think I know what you need. You need a carbon price of about 200 euros per ton, right?
That would help, absolutely. You don't have to go as high as that, but that is absolutely would be helpful. If we want to drive the transition towards a carbon-free society, we need to put a price on carbon. That is enough to change behavior. But I also think that going back to your question I mean, we are not really a startup. We've been around for 80 years, more than 80 years in the shipping industry. So we're not really a startup, but we have built up our brand. We have a renommee, and therefore we have maybe the trust that comes with a long history also helps us. And I think for a startup, having a partner with a brand that has kind of a trust already in the market would be helpful. I think because when you're coming as a startup and you don't have any brand, or you don't have any reputation already, it's much more difficult. So I think the bigger brands, the bigger companies that's already out there needs to be supported and show trust in the startups to make this happen. I think.
Do you feel like sort of there is a special spirit in Sweden about this?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, and the shipping industry is kind of, I can look at not only in Sweden, but in Scandinavia, the northern part of Europe. I think there is a big drive towards pushing sustainability agenda for shipping right now. We have been pushing it for the last 20, 25 years. And in the beginning, we were quite alone. But I feel that now there is a general concern, a general and a genuine concern about the environment, at least from the Northern Europe countries, to make a change, actually. And that's very good.
And do both of you also feel sort of the other side of it, sort of the lobby of the current sort of market dominant companies, lobbies that don't want your type of innovation? Is there any such resistance? Inès?
My impression is no. I think they have learned that mostly the upcoming generation is much more focused on protecting the environment. And of course, the idea of selling things very long only to protect your workplace is one thing, but new technologies create new workspaces for new people. And so I think they have learned that protecting all the old stuff and selling it as long as they can is not the right direction. So in the moment, I see a little bit a thinking around, mostly when you see Volkswagen and Mercedes-Benz have launched a lot of interesting cars in the last weeks. And so I think things will develop in the right direction. I'm very, very optimistic.
I think that 10 years ago, there would have been a resistance. But now there are so many things coming into place. And I think the general demand or requirement from the society to find more sustainable solution has reached everybody. So when we launched this project and made it more public, there were a lot of cargo owners contacting us and say that, wow, this is fantastic. We want to be on that vessel. So no resistance at all at the moment. So it's I think it's a good drive that we should continue on now and just push on.
Okay, I have one last question, and we have 20 seconds, 10 each. How far until your industry is really carbon neutral?
Our combustion is 100% carbon neutral. The complete system maybe 50%. So. We are working to close the gap.
Our industry, it will take time, unfortunately, but for us, it will go much faster. We carbon neutral, I can't dare to say. We are aiming at 2040, something like that, 2040, 2050. But we are trying to push as fast as we can.
Well, for all of us, all the best to you. And thank you so much for being here during this conference.
Thanks a lot for being invited.
All the best for both of you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.